It must be September. It must be Eagles season. It is about 48 hours away. And we must be doing the Birds Blast with Kyle Quinn, season 6. Wow. Kyle, 94 WIP's Kyle Quinn. Kyle, in your wildest dreams, would you have ever thought back in 2020 we'd still be doing this 6 years later?
No, and God bless me for still doing it.
Well, hey, all right. Take a shot right off the bat. All right, it's fine. Little bit of show knowledge, a little show history, show trivia. Since we've been doing this, the Eagles have what? They've been to the playoffs 4 times. They've been to the Super Bowl twice, and they've won a Super Bowl. So I think we're working out pretty good for them, man.
Yeah, good luck charms.
Think so. Good luck charms. Absolutely. Welcome to the Birds Blast season 6. This is the quintessential Eagle pregame show. I defy you to find anything out there quite like this. As we will week by week break down not only what happened the week prior, but we'll talk about, of course, the game coming up. But today is a special show because it's our first show of the year. It's the show that we break down the NFL. Let's just put it to you that way. We're going to reveal here in a second who we think conference divisional, who's going to win each division, who's going to come in last in each division, our wild card matchups, our conference championship game matchups, and of course our Super Bowl matchups and Super Bowl winners. So really a fun episode to get the whole thing rolling. And just to remind the folks at home who were playing along last year, I guessed 4 out of the 8 first place teams correctly. Kyle also guessed 4 out of the 8 first place teams correctly around the NFL. I was 4 for 8 in last place. Kyle was 5 for 8 last place. 1 for 6 I was on the wild card. Kyle was 2 for 6. I was 1 for 4 in championship game matchups. Kyle was 2 for 4. Super Bowl, I was 1 for 2. Kyle was 0 for 2. Kyle missed completely on the Super Bowl combatants. I did not get the Super Bowl champion correct because I did not pick the Eagles. And Kyle, of course, not having a dog in the fight, was 0 for 1. Overall, I was 11 for 21 for 37.9%. Kyle edges me out 13 for 29 with 44.8%. Kyle rebounds nicely from a ass whooping in 2023 that I gave him. So congratulations one final time, Kyle, on your accomplishment last year.
Oh, thank you, sir. I guess my only big mistake was, and I guess we both made this mistake, but a little too low on the Eagles going into the season, huh?
Yeah, we were. We absolutely were. And you know what? You couldn't blame us. I mean, there was no pedigree there. There was what happened, and we'll get into that, of course, one last final time before we turn the page. But let's do it, Kyle. Let's get into the NFL. Let's go into the AFC. We're going to start out there in the West, where the theme seems to be in that Western division is how long will the Chiefs' kingdom actually continue? Kansas City, LA, Denver. LA and Denver might be the closest, teams to try to knock the Chiefs off. And then you got the Raiders. We're just doing Raiders things. Kyle, who do you see coming in last place in the vaunted AFC West?
Yeah, so it's going to be hard not to pick the Raiders. I like the year 2 leap with Bo Nix. I think Harbaugh is building something good over there with the Chargers. And then you can never count the Chiefs out as long as they have Patrick Mahomes. The Raiders really done nothing this offseason. I mean, the Geno Smith thing was just a weird move. If anything, I think the Raiders, I mean, it would be crazy, I think, for me to pick anybody but the Raiders to finish in last place in that one.
Yeah, I'm right on lockstep with you. There's really nothing that says to me that the Raiders have done anything to take that next step. And you mentioned the Chargers and the Broncos are pretty much maybe the closest thing to a competitor to the Chiefs, but the Raiders are distant last in that. With that being said, is the Chiefs dynasty continuing at least one more year in the AFC West?
Man, at least you mean in terms of dynasty, like winning the division? I think it's going to. I mean, look, for as down of the years as the Chiefs have had last year, or the last few years, at least in terms of like the roster, the amount of talent that they had, especially on offense, like they still managed to win freaking 15 games last season. Could have been 16 if they wanted to play their starters in that final game. Like they just continue to win as long as they have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. It's hard to pick against them to come out of that division.
100%. Until Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, and company show me otherwise, it's the Chiefs division to lose. I'm going to go ahead with the Kansas City Chiefs as well. Let's move down to the AFC South, where I guess the theme is Daddy needs a new quarterback. Because good God, Kyle, each one of these teams in the AFC South has got so many questions at the most important position of a football team. It makes you wonder what these GMs and head coaches are doing every year that they constantly have to start the seasons with this much flux in the quarterback position. Let's go up the top. Who's the cream in this crop of AFC South teams? Who's going to win the AFC South?
Man, that's tough. So I'm not really. I'm going to need to see it from Cam Ward and the Titans, I think, for a year before I pick them to do anything. The Jags, I think Trevor Lawrence stinks. They got a new coach going down there, and I don't know if I believe in Liam Cohen at all. The Colts look just terrible. They their quarterback that they just drafted, number 5 overall, lost his job to Daniel freaking Jones. Yeah. I'm going to go with the team that I think has the best quarterback, and that's going to be Houston with C.J. Stroud. I think they're at the top of that division right now.
Yeah, I don't know how you can go once again until somebody else proves otherwise. I don't know how you cannot go with. Not to say that the Texans are this otherworldly entity. Everything else is so bad in that division.
Yep. Yeah, it's a miserable division. Just awful.
So out of the other teams, who come in last? They all could. So who do you think is going to be the one to come in last?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the team that I believe is trying to come in last in that division, and that's the Indianapolis Colts. It looks like this is going to be the end of the line for Shane Steichen. That quarterback decision that he made, not that I think it might be the right one in terms of Anthony Richardson's just not that good. But when you go into a season and you name Daniel Jones as your starter, you're in some deep doo-doo. So I think I'll have to pick the Colts to finish last.
I'm going to go a little bit against that. I agree with everything you're saying, but I actually believe out of all the I actually have more faith in Dan Jones than I do in Cam Ward. Honestly, I think Cam Ward might be one of those Jamarcus Russell levels, first-round draft pick bust, first overall bust, whatever. I just don't have any faith and confidence in what Cam Ward brings to the table. And I couldn't tell you, I couldn't pick the Tennessee Titans out of a lineup to be honest with you, but I'm going to go with the Titans.
Yeah, it's not a crazy idea. The Cam Ward thing, I don't know what to make of him. He's one of those weird first overall picks where he doesn't come out with so much hype. I think usually when it's like a bad quarterback class or a mediocre quarterback class, somebody gets picked number 1 overall by default, and I think that's sort of where Cam Ward had to go.
Joe Hale chimes in and says he thinks the AFC West sleeper team is the Broncos. Yeah, listen, Joe, there's something to be said, but sophomore James Bo Nix, does he continue to move on? Do they have enough around him? It might be a sleeper team out there, but I don't think it's a team that can to even touch the Chiefs right now. The Chiefs are a pretty established team. And as far as I checked last, and I know this might upset some people, we are still living in the Chiefs dynasty. It is still the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty right here. So the Broncos are a sexy pick, right, Kyle? But legitimately, do you see anybody really taking the Chiefs down?
Not really. I do buy into the Bo Nix thing, and Sean Payton's a good coach. So, while I see them being a playoff team, we'll get to that later on. I'm not sure if I'm picking anyone to dethrone the Chiefs at this point.
Yeah. Ricky says, hi, Matt. Kyle's here too, Ricky. You got to say hi to Kyle. 94 WIP's Kyle Quinn, by the way. So, all right. AFC North. 4 teams, 2 going in one direction, 2 going in a different direction, different themes all over. Are the Ravens and Bengals, are they just pretenders, or are they actually contenders? And the quarterback carousel goes round and round in Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Kyle, who's coming in last in the AFC North?
Man, it's hard to not go with the Browns. Even as questionable as I think the Steelers offseason has been, getting rid of George Pickens and bringing in an ancient quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, who might as well just be 55 years old at this point. They still always somehow, with Mike Tomlin, manage to win games, at least to some degree. So whether they go 8-9 or 9-8, I still don't see them as like a bottom-dwelling team. It's probably going to be the Browns, who brought in 5 quarterbacks, and none of them really look like none of them look like they're going to be any good this season, and they ended up naming Joe Flacco as their starter. So when you start the season off looking like that, then that's a pretty tough place to start. So I'll go with the Browns going last.
Yeah, me too. I just don't know. There seems to be no direction in terms of the quarterback. I get what the philosophy was this year. You never can have enough. I guess that was what the Browns' philosophy was in quarterback. But I don't care if you have 100 of them. If 100 can't play, then you're back at square zero. So I agree. Cleveland is my last place team. And what do you think for first place? Truly a 2-team race in this division, actually.
Yeah, and it should come down to the 2 quarterbacks there, Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow. I just think I trust the Ravens' overall roster better than I do the Bengals. The Bengals just fine struck a deal with Trey Hendrickson to completely avoid disaster on their defense. Their defense wasn't that good last year, even with Trey Hendrickson getting 17.5 sacks. And I don't think they really did too much to improve that unit. So I think Baltimore's just an overall better team. Lamar Jackson, for whatever he does in the postseason, he always has good regular seasons. He's perennial MVP candidate. So I'm going to pick Baltimore to come out of that.
And I'm actually going with Baltimore as well. I just sort of lost some faith and confidence in what Joe Burrow brings to the table. And I don't know if it's the pieces around him. Jamar Chase is something from a different planet, but they just can't seem to get it all together, either through injuries or holdouts or drama somewhere else. And honestly, I don't know. I'm starting to. I was never big high on Joe Burrow to begin with, and I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. Not that I'm higher on Lamar, it's just that to me they just have a little bit more weaponry out in Baltimore.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the Bengals have a better offensive cast, that's for sure. I mean, Chase and T. Higgins are better than really what Baltimore has, and I don't think them missing the playoffs any fault of Joe Burrow's at all. Like, I think if they actually did make the playoffs, could have made the argument that Joe Burrow was the MVP. He had like 40-something touchdowns, only 8 interceptions last season. He was really good. I mean, the defense and the offensive line is just not good. I mean, the Ravens just, I think, overall are a more well-rounded team.
Joe Hale says the Steelers are going to surprise teams by what? How many points they can lay on them? Joe, I don't really, I don't see the surprise there other than a negative.
Yeah, I'm not going to have to. I'm going to have to not buy that one either.
That takes us to the AFC East and Buffalo Bills. Hallowed be thy name. This is probably definitely still their division. Closest team in this race to me is Miami, and I think they're years away. But Buffalo, you know, the question's got to start being asked, and I know it is. When's their time, and will it ever come?
Yeah, I mean, it very well could be this season. I mean, I think they're far and away the best team in that division. Josh Allen just won the MVP last year, and he manages to put up numbers every single year with whatever wide receivers are around him. And, you know, they have like a decent-ish defense and a head coach who's defensive-oriented. I don't see any team that's an immediate threat in that division, so I think I'm still going to go with Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm going with Buffalo as well. And then it leads us to our last place team. Kyle, I've been on record in years past, and for some odd reason, I don't know why I kept doing this for years and years and years. I had this fascination with the New York Jets and their drafting ability. That fascination is over. The New York Jets are the worst team in that division, maybe one of the worst in the league. I'm going with Jets. Kyle, who do you see finishing last in the AFC East?
Yeah, I mean, I could go with the Jets. I'm going to, I think, go with a little bit of a sleeper bottom-dwelling team this season. I think that's going to be the Miami Dolphins. I think the Mike McDaniel era is coming to an end down there. And the Tua thing, I mean, it's hard not to count on him getting injured every single season. And whenever he does that, they have no viable backup options down there. I think the Dolphins thing could go really badly this year.
All right. So there we have it. I need now your number 5, 6, and 7 your wild card, starting with the 5th seed.
Yeah. All right. So I think the West ends up being a 3 playoff team division. So I'm going to go with LA, the Chargers. I'm going to go with the Broncos. And then maybe I'll go with a little bit of surprise here. I'm pretty high on Drake May as a quarterback. I think the Patriots maybe sneak in as that 7th seed.
Wow, this is something we'll be laughing about in December. I can tell you that much. I got Miami, Cincinnati, and the Chargers. That's what I'm going to go with. I don't have faith in Drake May, and I don't have faith that listen, Bo Nix is probably one of the more intriguing stories this year, but I still think the Broncos are there. But I got Chargers, Denver, or I got the Dolphins, Bengals, and Chargers.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm out on the Dolphins. I think, the Bengals are the one that's probably the hardest for me to leave out, but I like to have a little fun, so I'm going to go with the sleeper, Drake May, Patriots.
I'll give you that. You do go out on a limb. So that takes us to our championship game matchup. Who in the AFC is going to be throwing down for the rights to go to Super Bowl 60?
Yeah, it's going to be hard for me not to put the Chiefs back in that game. I think it's Buffalo's time, though, and I think Buffalo goes up against Kansas City. And I actually think Buffalo ends up with the number 1 seed. That game's going to be in Buffalo. So it'll be Buffalo and the Chiefs.
So you got Buffalo and the Chiefs, and you got Buffalo coming out?
Yeah, I do. I have Buffalo winning that.
All right. I have in my championship game as well the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, and I as well have the Buffalo Bills coming out. This is too scary. I don't like the fact that we're really close here this year. I don't like it at all. But let's go to the.
Neither of us is getting a win on that one over each other. So
yeah, I'm gonna have to rely on your your Miami Dolphins coming in last place in these wild card teams to hopefully pull away with this thing. But NFC time, Kyle. Let's head out the NFC West to the most irrelevant. Does anybody even remember what's happening in the NFC West anymore? It seems to be the forgotten division in all of football. You could probably make a case for every team with maybe the exception of the Cardinals. But let's talk about who's coming in dead last in the NFC West.
Yeah, I'm not buying the Seattle thing like one bit. I think Sam Darnold going away from Kevin O'Connell is like the worst thing that could have possibly happened to him. I don't buy him taking another step forward in that Seattle offense. I do like the only player I like on that offense really is Jackson Smith and Migba. And I think their defense is okay. It's not like great. But I think the Cardinals could maybe win 8 games, but I could see Seattle win like 5 and be in last place in that division.
So Seattle last, and who you got coming in first?
So I think I'm gonna have to put my chips in the bounce back basket for the San Francisco 49ers. They tend to just sort of go up and down every year. They have a really bad season, and then they have a really good season. They're loaded with talent. They have a great coach. And I think the other thing that's sort of scaring me in that division is the situation with Matthew Stafford. He's sort of getting a little bit old. You're hearing a lot about the back injury in training camp. And if that lingers, man, they could be in some deep, deep trouble having to go to Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think the 49ers to steady the ship and bounce back and take that division.
So Kyle's going to bounce back here. Listen, if San Francisco's going to have a bounce back here, that means Christian McCaffrey is going to be on the field for at least 15 games.
Yep.
And if that happens, I absolutely buy into that. On the other hand, I'm going to go with I'm going to stay with the old dogs. I think the Rams will run it back one more year. I think it'll be an interesting race out there. I think everybody's going to be in it, with the exception, in my case, is Arizona. I think they're coming in dead last. But I think it's going to be a very interesting division, and maybe they play themselves back into relevancy in 2025. So
again,
all right, now to the NFC South. If there's a worse division out there than the AFC South, well, it's the NFC South. And Kyle, I don't even know where to start here. Obviously, it's a 2-team. To me, I can only pick out 2 teams here. But who do you see coming in first? Let's go with that way in the NFC South.
All right, so just for the sake of having a little fun, I'm actually buying what I saw from Mr. Bryce Young at the end of the season. I think he takes that next step forward. I don't know. Man, it'd be easy for me to say the Bucs win the division, but I'm going to have a little fun. I'm going to say the Panthers take that division this year.
So Kyle's coming off the top rope and picking the Carolina Panthers in year 3 of a rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. We can have fun here. All right. And who's coming in last?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the Saints. Named Spencer Rattler, their starting quarterback. And, I appreciate Kellen Moore's contributions to the Eagles last season. They are a disaster, and maybe in year -1 of their rebuild.
I'm going ahead with New Orleans last place as well, but I'm going to go with the surprising Atlanta Falcons. I think they're quietly assembling a pretty decent team over there. It's a matter of bringing it all together. But I think they're a fun team to watch. They're an offensively driven team to watch. And it really kind of depends on what Penix takes that next step. But I'm going to go ahead with the Falcons in the South.
Yeah, I'm curious to see Michael Penix this season too. I mean, that's a fun one for sure.
All right. So NFC North, seems like the Green Bay Packers are all in reclaiming NFC North dominance with the Micah Parsons trade. But, offensively, there's some question marks there with the Packers. But they could be maybe the closest team to challenge the Lions. But let's talk about who might come in first place in the NFC North, Kyle Quinn.
So I'm just going to have to pick the Lions to take a step back a little bit this season just because they lost both coordinators, and I think Ben Johnson was the best thing they had going for that team last year. Now, they still have tons of talent, so they're not going to finish last by any means, but I don't see the Lions taking that division. Going to need to see it to believe it from the Vikings. Going to need to see it to believe it from Caleb Williams and the Bears, too, just because I'm not sure if I trust him. So I'm going to go with the Packers. I think they're the most talented team, front and back. Not like super, super high on Jordan Love, but like you said, I think they sort of made those moves to go all in and reclaim the top spot in that division. I think they do end up going out.
And with that being said, who's coming in dead last?
Man, I guess I'll have to go with the Vikings. I guess I do think the Bears will end up winning more games than they did last season. They can't possibly look as bad as they did. See the Vikings probably falling off a little bit. I think they were better than I think anybody expected them to be last season. I think they come back down to earth a little bit with J.J. McCarthy getting his feet wet in the NFL. And I see the Vikings coming in last.
Yeah, I guess you're not feeling the whole JJ McCarthy thing, but I can see that. I'm going to go again with the. I still think the Lions are rising, so I'm going to go ahead and say that the Lions are still going to be the better team in that division. So give me Detroit, and coming in last. Not a believer in the Bears or anything they're doing. Every quarterback they touch is cursed. I don't know if Caleb Williams will be that guy, but I'm going to go ahead and put the Bears in dead last.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with the Caleb Williams thing. I'm going to need to see it from him. I know they got a ton of weapons down there and a good offensive play caller, but I'm not quite buying him just yet.
Joe Hale says the Bears win the division and the Vikings come in last. I don't know if the Bears outshine the Packers and Lions. Joe, come on, man. I don't know, but all right, this is what everyone's been waiting for.
Mm-hmm.
The Deuces Wild NFC East. So Philadelphia Eagles go into this season with an opportunity not only to win 2 straight division championships, the first NFC East team to do that since the 03-04 Eagles. They also have a chance to win 2 conference championships and 2 Super Bowls. And with all that being said, Kyle, I'm going to save that one for last. Who's coming in last in the NFC East?
Yeah, well, we're going to see him Thursday night. I mean, it's the team that probably had one of the biggest disaster off seasons that I can remember in a long time, in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. And I think the Dallas Cowboys just completely fall apart this season. They come in last.
All right, now if there's any, do I even need to ask you, or I just write in Eagles here? I mean, do you want to give a little? Do you want me to? Is there any suspense here, or just want to go ahead and say Eagles?
No, it's going to be the Eagles. I mean, look, I not that I don't have my questions about the Eagles as a team, at least defensive side of the ball and the offensive play caller, but I don't know if I'm necessarily buying that the Commanders taking another step forward this season, and the Giants are probably another couple of years away at most, or at least from contending in this division. So it's going to be the Eagles again, I think.
Okay, I like the Cowboys last place, but I'm not going there. Until somebody proves me otherwise, I don't know what's going on at the Giants, and I don't think they do. And at least the Cowboys have a quarterback you can throw the ball. Until something else is proven differently, I'm going ahead with the Giants in last place.
Yeah, it's not crazy.
And my shocker of the season, my first place NFC East. I picked them last year. I'm picking them again. The Washington Commanders will win the NFC East. And I'm going to tell you why, Kyle. Not that I'm thinking that Jaden Daniels and the rest of the Commanders are going to take that step forward. I think the Eagles are going to take that step back. So give me the Commanders.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Eagles could fall back toward the pack a little bit. Like when they ended the season, they were in a class of their own in the NFC. I don't think they're in a class of their own again right now. But the Commanders are, I think, the oldest or the second oldest team in the league, despite having Jaden Daniels at quarterback. And I think, look, the thing about the Commanders last season was they won so many close games, like 2 games off a Hail Mary, a lot of games by 1 scores. And that those teams tend to sort of, those games flip often for those teams. So I could see a little bit of a regression back to the mean for the Commanders next season.
All right, Kyle, who are your wild cards? Your 5, 6, and 7.
All right. So it's going to be tough because I think I'm going to go with the Lions as the 5. I think the Bucks as the 6. Man. And then I guess I'll go with the Commanders as the 7.
I got Eagles as the 5. I got the Cowboys as the 6 and the Packers as the 7. That's my wild cards.
Cowboys in the playoffs would be quite the upset, I think.
Yeah, well, let's see. But all right, championship game matchup. Kyle Quinn, you picked the Eagles in the championship game last year, but you had them losing. Are the Eagles going back to the NFC Championship game?
Yeah, I think we go to the championship again. We play the San Francisco 49ers, and we bludgeon the hell out of them again. And I'll take it.
So Kyle Quinn's going Eagles 49ers, the same matchup he had last year, by the way. And he's going with a different winner, though. He's going to go with the Eagles. So Kyle's going to pit the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 60. And is it the dawn of the Eagle dynasty, Kyle Quinn?
I mean, look, I'm not going to pick the Eagles to go into the Super Bowl and lose to the stinking Buffalo Bills. The Bills are going to do what they do best, and they're going to lose the Super Bowl. And I do think it's the dawn of the dynasty for the Eagles. So we'll go.
All right. Yeah, that's great. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. So I have something different. I got the Detroit Lions battling the LA Rams in the NFC Championship game, and I got Buffalo against Detroit, and Buffalo finally ends those years of purgatory and hell they've been in, and they get their first Super Bowl championship, and Josh Allen becomes the man of the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bills and Lions would be an interesting one. That would be two teams fighting for their first ever Super Bowl win. Lions in the Super Bowl.
That'd be fun.
I mean, that's fun.
That would be fun. All right, everybody. Kyle, by the way, I haven't been able to see you for like the last 25 minutes. Is your video working?
I'm working. I'm here. I see you, buddy.
Yeah, I haven't been able to see you at all.
No, that could
be. But whatever. I can hear you. That's all that matters, really. Joe says Bill versus Eagles. Eagles win the Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, people are saying it almost like it's a passing thing these days, Kyle. Like, oh yeah, of course the Eagles are going to win a Super Bowl. We forget. And tonight on the Final Word, I'm going to remind those how hard it was for the Eagles to get to this point. And Kyle, you gotta admit, going out and winning a Super Bowl is not like falling out of a boat. It takes a lot of luck, a lot of work, and it's hard.
Yeah, of course. I mean, but like, I think it's not crazy for people to feel that way when we're in the golden era of Eagles football. I mean, this is the best era that we've ever experienced as Eagles fans. And for a team that had just been in the Super Bowl 2 years ago and then went back 2 years later and won it, I mean, people, I think, have every right to be feeling themselves in that way.
Oh, no, you're right. Joe's adding an extra little layer to our little prediction thing. He's asking who wins the Coach of the Year and MVP. If you want to take a stab at that, Kyle, I'll do it. I'll play along with Joe here. You can go ahead first if you want.
Let's see. MVP. I'll go with Allen winning MVP again.
Yeah.
Coach of the Year. Let's see. Man, Coach of the Year is tough. Who do I think wins Coach of the Year? That's put me on the spot there, big time. if I pick a team that, I'll go with Harbaugh for the Chargers.
All right, I'm going to go Josh Allen as well, and I'm going Shane Steichen from the Colts. Yep.
Oh, uh-oh.
He's gonna turn trash into treasure. Dan Jones is going to have a Sam Darnold-like season, and Steichen's going to unlock whatever Dan Jones has. He's going to unlock it finally.
I'll tell you what, that would be a resume to win Coach of the Year if you were able to do that.
Absolutely, man. Of course, I know what I'm talking about. All right, everybody. Thank you for playing along, and we'll look at this again at the end of the season, like we do every year, and we'll find out exactly how good we were. But now it's time to turn the page, Kyle Quinn, because this is what the folks came here. We got football in 48 hours. Eagles, Cowboys at Lincoln Financial Field. Super Bowl. The last time we could probably claim Super Bowl champions until we slapped the defending on the front of it, and get this thing rolling. Kyle Quinn. Before we get into this game, I want to get your just sort of overview based off of the offseason, preseason, training camp. Where do you feel the Eagles are right now heading into this season? Are they ready? Are they at the best possible position they can be in to get ready to defend that championship?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess the one thing that I would look at, and if you ask me if they're ready, is how healthy are they? And they are. I mean, they're fully healthy. The injury report came out. I'm sure we'll get to that, but everyone's going to be a full go. And they're running back the same offensive talent that they did last season. That's good. I like the continuity there. I feel like they'll be ready there. We'll see if they'll be able to carry over how they were performing at the end of the season last year. We'll see what Saquon looks like. Something tells me he might just have another really good season running behind this offensive line. So I like the way the offense looks. The defense got a few question marks. It might take them a few weeks again, sort of like it did last season, to get their feet underneath them, figure out who belongs where and what roles and stuff like that. But hard for me to not trust Vic Fangio after what we saw last season. So with them being fully healthy and with their mindset where it's been at in this offseason, I think they are going to be ready to go week one.
I think they're ready to go, but I don't know if they have the right people that are ready to go. And the big theme of mine all offseason was, does a Super Bowl champion make as many wholesale changes to a defense like the Eagles did and bring in some really unknown commodities in order to fill those shoes? Now, It happened last year, and it worked out amazingly. And I guess they're hoping that lightning strikes twice there. But that's the biggest concern I have with this team heading into the beginning of the season is on that defensive side of the ball. Because, again, I said it, and hopefully I can stop saying it. Nobody gives the defense what the credit they deserved in helping win that Super Bowl. They were pivotal. If they did not perform the way they did, the Eagles do not win a Super Bowl. And I just am concerned that there's not enough on the defense right now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with and how important they were. Now, I'll say what I think their offseason model reminds me a little bit of. I mean, look, it's very different from what they did after the 2017 Super Bowl win, where it felt like they hung on to a lot of guys that were getting a little bit long in the tooth. They sort of did the same thing after the 2022 season. It kind of reminds me of how the Chiefs approached their team after they started winning Super Bowls, and that was getting rid of some guys that they really, I mean, guys that I think were on final years of their deals, stuff like that. They let them go, and they drafted. They banked on those kids getting better, and they banked on the kids that they have taking another step forward. And for us, that's going to be Jalen Carter, John Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. We'll see what they get out of Jihad Campbell. And you know, who knows if some other guys maybe take a little bit of a step forward, but they're getting younger. They're the second youngest team in football, and it reminds me a little bit of what the Chiefs were doing after they started winning. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see if it works for them, but they do have the defensive coordinator to get these guys along, just like the Chiefs did with Steve Spagnuolo. So, I mean, look, it's not what they did the last time, but the last time didn't work. So, I mean, at this point, I don't know what I want them to do, and I guess I'll just have to trust them at this point.
All right, Kyle, let's do it. Let's get into some Thursday night football at the link. The cloud, the temperatures will be just absolutely balmy. I think a 65-degree low temperature, partly cloudy, like 20% chance of rain. It's going to be a beautiful night for football. The Eagles, as per the Gridiron database, are going to come out in their midnight tops and white pants. The Cowboys in their white shirts and their silver, bluish, whatever that crap is they wear for their pants. Injury report as we get ready to start the season. Let's get into it because it's a little significant for the Eagles. Currently, let's do the Packers first. Winfrey did not participate in practice, has not participated in practice all week. Trayvon Diggs is saying he's about 80% ready to go as of yesterday, and he's a full participant coming off that knee injury that sidelined him at the end of 2024. Tyler Gutton, full participant as well as he's dealing with the knee problem, and Spanford ankle issue, full participant. Dallas Cowboys, Kyle. Obviously, the big thing here is the minus the Micah Parsons thing. The Diggs thing might be significant, but injury-wise for Dallas heading into week one, the best they could probably hope for, right?
Yeah, probably. The Diggs thing's funny because I think when he was asked about it, they said, "Are you going to be good to go for week one?" He said, "We'll see. Definitely week 4 at the latest." He gave himself
gotta love that.
Of a buffer zone here. So
yeah, it's well, you know, a lot of players treat this month like the preseason, so maybe that's what he's doing. For the Eagles, a little bit of a layered thing going on with the Eagles. Obviously, Landon Dickerson's the big thing, coming back from the knee problem, the surgery he had earlier in camp. Now he's complaining of some back issues, but those are normal. He's been dealing with that for a while. Was not a participant. Kyle, if you had to throw some money down on Landon Dickerson playing this game, would you be doing it?
Yeah, he's going to play. I think the last injury report I saw just like a couple hours ago was that he was full go and he's going to be out there.
So he's a go. Tanner McKee with the broken tip of his right thumb. He's also a non-participant. Sam Howell backing up Jalen Hurts.
About it. I mean, yeah, if they're down, we might be in a little bit of trouble. So.
Andrew Makua, who dealt with a hamstring problem throughout training camp, was a limited participant. You foresee him not playing? I foresee him playing in this game, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on the safety spot's definitely a little bit questionable. I don't know how much they would have him starting out there anyway, because they haven't necessarily confirmed who's going to be starting at either cornerback or starting safety. So whether it's him or Sidney Brown, I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, if Nkuba's healthy, I'm assuming we'll see him out there at least in some sort of rotational capacity.
Josh Uche dealing with a groin problem, and Jalen Carter. When did this shoulder thing? Do you have any information on this shoulder issue? Is this something that he's been dealing with? Did it just pop up?
Yeah, he's been dealing with it, I think, throughout training camp. He missed time early in camp, so they could just be listing him just because he might be limited on some days. But I mean, he's going to be out there. He's going to play. So.
And that's it. And then Joe Hale also mentions there was a question about a week or 10 days ago that A.J. Brown was having some problems with, I believe it was also a hamstring thing going on with A.J., but he seems to be he's not on the injury. That's always a good thing.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, look, A.J. Brown, besides Saquon Barkley, is the best weapon they have on offense, so they need him.
Now, here we go, Kyle. What are Kyle Quinn's? I want some key matchups. I want you to tell me 3 key matchups that Kyle Quinn's going to be looking at Thursday night at the Link against the Cowboys.
Yeah, so is this my 3 keys to victory, or
no? This is your 3 key matchups. Then we'll do the keys to victories after that.
Well, it's going to be our offensive line versus the Cowboys' defensive line. Okay. Micah Parsons being out is obviously a significant blow to them. I know they bring in Kenny Clark, but something tells me that getting a guy on the defensive line that just got there a week ago isn't going to be very significant of an addition for them, at least early on in the season. And the Eagles, when they go out into every game, they tend to dominate in the trenches. That's how they win football games. So I'm going to go with the Eagles' offensive line versus their defensive line. I will go with our corners, our secondary, I guess, versus CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. I mean, without a single doubt, the Cowboys' #1 path to victory in this game is going to be airing it out and testing out that cornerback 2 opposite of Quinn Mitchell. And maybe even the slot, if they put CeeDee Lamb in the slot, test him up against Cooper Jean or whoever's in there Thursday night. They're going to be trying to air it out that way. And then matchup number 3, I'll go with the other side of the trenches. And that's going to be the Eagles' defensive line. I know that they had a great Super Bowl, but they were a little bit shaky for a lot of the season last year, and they have some new faces there. So, however they rotate that and how they try to match up against the Cowboys' offensive line is going to be pretty key for this team too.
Yeah, I'm lockstep with my number 3 key to not key to victory. My number 3 matchup is the Dallas pass rush versus the Eagles O-line. What is that pass rush going to look like minus Micah Parsons? It might be different. I don't know, different bad or different good, but just different might be a problem. I don't know. Dak Prescott versus the Eagles secondary. I'm going to be watching the Eagles secondary until they prove me to stop watching them, because that is the most intriguing part of the start of this season. Is do they have enough back there, and are they going to be able to do the job like they did last year? Because again, it was so pivotal of winning that Super Bowl. And then the Eagles versus the world, Kyle Quinn. I know we've been hearing it all week long, how they're downplaying the fact that they're the defending champs. Now it's time to get back to work. They're not going to be out allegedly to watch the banner drop at the Link. They're going to be in the locker room for that. Let's see if they come out smelling themselves or if they come out truly a team on a mission.
That's going to be up to Nick Sirianni. Is the messaging really getting through the same way it did last year? I got to give him credit. I mean, he wasn't an offensive play caller guy, but he really set the tone for the culture of the team, and you still hear it a lot this offseason. The guys are parroting all the messages that he shares with them throughout the week. So something tells me that they will be ready to go, and they put this thing in the rear view.
All right, now that leads us to our Eagles 3 keys to victory. Kyle Quinn, take it away.
Yeah, so the first one's going to be run the ball down the Cowboys' freaking throat. I mean, the Cowboys, the worst thing about them last year was that they could not stop the run. The best thing about the Eagles this season and for years now has just been their ability to run the ball, whether it's Miles Sanders, whether it's DeAndre Swift, or whether it's with the #1 overall player in the NFL last season, and that was Saquon Barkley. Whether they mix it up a little bit with Dillon or Will Shipley, I don't know, but they got it. I think they continue to pound the rock against the Cowboys and make them stop that before we have to go put the ball in the air. Now, the second one is going to be just play a clean football game. I know it's week 1, so that means no penalties, no turnovers, stuff like that. Things that, I mean, I think the line right now is Cowboys plus 8.5. So the Eagles are heavy favorites in this game, and the one way that you can let a lesser team hang around in a game and beat you is by playing mistake-filled football, and that's turning the ball over and like costly penalties, stuff like that. So don't do that. Keep their heads on straight. And then the number 3 one is, figure out how to stop that Cowboys passing attack. Like we just talked about, Dak Prescott has had his way with the Eagles secondary when he's played. And George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb are not a wide receiver duo to sneeze at. So they're going to have to be ready to go. I mean, whatever young guys they have out there, whatever new guys they have out there, they're going to have to be ready to defend CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Dak Prescott.
You know, a lot of the talk this week, Kyle, has been centered around the Micah Parsons-less Cowboys and the drama that Jerry Jones has been stirring up lately. But nothing really has been being paid to Dak Prescott. Now, coming back from another massive injury, are we sleeping a little bit on Dak Prescott here?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, every time he plays for a full season, the Cowboys tend to be competitive in the NFCs. Now, I just don't think they necessarily have the roster around him this time to do that. No, I know you put him in the wild card. I think that would be a little bit of an upset if they were able to do that. So I do think you do have to watch out, at least on a game-per-game basis, about what Dak Prescott's capable of doing. He's had success against the Eagles, and he's had success against the NFC. So, I mean, to answer your question, are we sleeping on him? Probably a little bit, yeah.
I think we are, and I hope it doesn't come back to bite him because it is week one. It's not like we're coming out of a battle-tested, it's week one. Everyone's at the same level right now. Everyone's probably played, if not the same amount of football, but the same less amount of football. The Eagles starters haven't played at all. So, I really think the whole not smelling yourself is going to be key to this game for the Eagles.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Like the Eagles have to treat this as though it's an entirely new season, and they have to treat the Cowboys with, I know we don't respect them as fans, but they're going to have to respect the football team or they could get surprised.
All right, my keys to Eagles victory. You've heard this before. Fast start, Kyle. Let's put that behind us too in 2024. The Eagles scored 2 offensive touchdowns on opening drives all season long, Kyle Quinn. Do you believe that? Can you believe that?
It's funny because we all tend to forget that just because of how dominant the Eagles were last season, and they ended up going on a tear and winning the Super Bowl. And they got better as the season went on. But I remember that was the one thing we were yelling and screaming about. Like, is this team ever going to score in the first quarter, let alone in the first drive? Like, yeah, I'm with you. That's sort of an underrated thing that everybody glossed over from last season.
2 opening drive touchdowns all season long and 8 total first quarter touchdowns all season long for this team in 2024. It's got to be better, especially take advantage of the charged atmosphere. Them fans are going to be raucous. They're going to want the foot down on the Cowboy throat from the very beginning. Give them what they want. Give me an opening drive touchdown. Lay it out. Fly route to A.J. Brown. Do something. Get the thing going early and get off to that fast start. My number 2 key to Eagles victory is offense needs to show some diversity with the defense stepping back a little bit, at least from the very beginning. We're going to need to see a little bit more than Jalen Hurts and handing off the football to Saquon Barkley or throwing up some YOLO balls. I need to see Jalen Hurts actually orchestrate drives, use his tight ends, use his slot guys, use his guys coming out of the backfield, make timely reads, progressions, checkdowns, all those things. Kevin Padula, obviously the first-year offensive coordinator who we're not talking enough about, honestly, to be honest with you. I just need to see a little bit more diversity from this Eagle offense in this game.
Yeah, I mean, and they might need it. We'll find out if the Chiefs put out the blueprint there to stop Saquon Barkley. Yep. But, the Eagles, the good thing about them last season, and especially in that Super Bowl, was they were actually, we had the questions about it, but they were able to beat you through the air finally when a team did stop Saquon Barkley. But we'll see. I know they started last season with a pretty concerted effort to throw the football, and they had to dial that back at the bye week, and they started handing the ball off more. We'll see how Patullo wants to come out in this.
And my last Eagle key to victory, you are the defending champs. You hit on it a little bit. Let's limit the turnovers. Let's limit the penalties. Let's capitalize on our red zone opportunities, and let's just play the game of football that we know how to play.
Yeah, and don't get booed at halftime on banner night like last time.
Yeah, just like they did in 18. Yeah. All right, let's now head over to the final part of our set. Actually, the second to last segment of our show. This is our weekly pick'em segment. This is where me and Kyle will give you our score, our winner, our game MVP. Again, for those of you that were playing along at home last year, Kyle Quinn mopped the floor with me on this one. 16-5 to include the playoffs was Kyle Quinn. I was a putrid 8-13 to include the playoffs. I think I at the end came along with the Eagles because I just get tired of losing, and I started picking the Eagles. So kudos again, Kyle. It was a clean sweep for you this last year. I got to give you credit.
Yeah, and I was nailing it. Let's see if I can carry.
Even with your Jalen Hurts game MVPs week after week, you were nailing them.
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, give me a score, a winner, and a game MVP.
So let's see. It's an 8.5 point spread. I think it might. I'll go 28-20 Eagles. They don't cover. that's because Dallas gets a backdoor garbage time touchdown at the end of the game. So I think it'll be 28-13 for the majority, or at least the duration of that fourth quarter, and then the Cowboys get a nice little backdoor cover in there. Game MVP, man, I think we're going to end up coming out of that game being like, holy crap, is Saquon going to do this thing again this year? And he's the MVP of the game.
All right, so I should show you this before I read it. Kyle, my score is 28-21 Eagles, and my game MVP is Saquon Barkley.
All right, well, look at us. This is
It's scary, Kyle. I don't like it, man. I don't like it. I don't. Part of the fun of this show is totally not agreeing with each other. But
a lot of things will change. Don't worry.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. All right, Kyle. Question of the week time. We are here every week. I lock myself into a room and I come up with a question to make Kyle Quinn say pick his brain, all those things. And here we go. First one of 2025 with the Eagles Cowboys kicking this thing off, Kyle. I think we talked about it a little bit in May when the schedule came out, but I am completely against the Eagles burning a divisional home game in September, especially on the first game of the year. I much would have rather seen the Lions or the Rams open up against the Eagles. Kyle, where do you stand on Eagles Cowboys week one? We can't even really get into Dallas week that well because it's week one.
Yeah, so I don't like it either, and it's not really necessarily because it's the Cowboys thing, but if I'm looking at how the Eagles schedule shakes out and how hard it is, especially those first 4 weeks of the season, this game becomes as big of a must-win as any of them. I mean, you have a team that you should beat, that you are better than, a team that you're expected to beat, and it's like one that you can't drop, because then all of a sudden you got Chiefs, Buccaneers, Rams. Like, those are going to be tough games. You would almost prefer them to shake the rust off, and if they're going to drop one game early in the season and drop one against a team that's good, it's a team that you can't afford to lose against. You can't afford to lose against an NFC East opponent. You can't afford to lose against a team that you should beat this early on in the season. So just in terms, like, logistically for the Eagles and their schedule this season, I don't like it. And, you know, there's that added factor of not really getting the build up for the Cowboys week, but it will be nice, I guess, for petty purposes to drop that banner in front of Jerry Jones and those Cowboys there.
Yeah, I guess you got to pull some of the positives out of there. I agree, but I still don't like it. I would rather have seen. I don't think any divisional games should be played against anybody until after Halloween. That's how I feel about divisional games.
You know, that's interesting. I do like the idea of sort of backloading them. But, you know, so yeah, I mean, I think that's interesting. I haven't heard that before, but, you know, I don't think you're crazy there.
Yeah, I just think it makes for better football, especially in December, man, especially when you're coming down the stretch. You can't complain, oh, the Raiders beat me and knocked me out of the playoffs, but you know, I'd rather much see a divisional, all that divisional stuff. Kyle Quinn, again, welcome back. We're at season 6. For those of you watching, this is the It's a Wrap Sports Network. We will be here weekly, except for the bye week, of course, but weekly, tentatively Thursdays at 7 p.m. I know we didn't hit the mark today, but that's part of the mystique of the show, folks, is that we move around the dial a lot to try to accommodate both schedules. So count on Thursday at 7 for the weekly appearance of this program. Kyle Quinn, before I let you go, where can the folks find you?
Yep. So still same place on the radio, the midday show, 10 to 2 every Monday through Friday, and then on Twitter @_Kyle_Quinn.
All right, brother. Welcome to another season. Can't wait. I'm glad it's back, and I'm looking forward to working with you again, man.
All right. Thank you, Matty B. Go Birds, buddy.
Go Birds, indeed. Kyle Quinn. I ain't kidding, man. Did anybody see him? I couldn't see him for like the majority of that interview. Like his audio or video cut out like minute 5. But anyway, we got it going. There it is, Kyle Quinn. And now you guys who have not seen this show before understand how we do it in this sort of format as we move through the season. We'll go back next week and, of course, talk how the things went down against Dallas and then preview the Chiefs. And that's how this thing will go all season long. But we're not done yet because I didn't do any bills paying, and I got to get to that. Here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, we got you covered. Birds Blast is back, but so is the Fighting's Final. We continue to run no baseball tonight. So tomorrow night, Mike Lauer will be back for Eagles or Phillies Brewers, and I got you on Thursday. The Props, Locks, and Parlay program will start tomorrow night as well at 7 p.m. You got the Happy Valley Huddle post-game Penn State. You got the wraparound on Fridays at 10:30. You got this program, the Birds Blast, Thursday is at 7. You got the Attacking Third tomorrow night at, what do you say, 8? 9. I think 9. Tomorrow night at 9. Wednesday at 9, we're doing it. We're moving it from its Thursday slot for obvious reasons, and it'll go off tomorrow at 9 for all you soccer heads. Make sure you join Steve, who I think is running solo again this week, and then later on tonight, be back here for the final word with Matty B. I will be back tonight for the final word. No baseball tonight, so I got to fill up the calendar somehow, and that is what's the haps going on here on the network. Now, one last segment before we end up every Birds Blast. I give you my week-to-week picks. I'll go game by game through the week and tell you who I think is going to win. We've done this again. I've done this ever since we started this show. Just remind everybody at home, where is it? I just had it. I last year picking games week to week went 165 and 104, which was actually pretty good. Seeing how I struggled, man. I struggled out of the gate last year, and I really made up for it in the second half of the season. So let's get into my picks for week 1 of the NFL season. Let's start, of course, with the I never gave Kyle my oh, yes, I did. So I obviously picked the Eagles to win this, beat the Cowboys, because I'll never pick Dallas to win anything. And so I'm going to take the Eagles to beat the Cowboys. Give me the Chiefs over the Chargers and Brazil on Friday. Give me Tampa over Atlanta. I like Cincinnati all over Cleveland. Miami is going to mop the floor up with Indianapolis. They'll figure it out eventually, but they're not going to figure it out week 1. Also, give me the Raiders and the Patriots. Give me the Patriots. Arizona and the Saints. Give me Arizona. Pittsburgh and the Jets. Give me the Steelers. The Giants versus the Commanders. I got the Commanders. Carolina versus Jacksonville. Give me Carolina. Tennessee and Denver. I got the Broncos. San Francisco and Seattle. Give me San Francisco. Detroit and Green Bay. Detroit. That's an interesting game to start the season for them. Houston versus the Rams. I like the Rams. Baltimore and Buffalo on Sunday night. Give me Buffalo. And on the Monday night game, Minnesota, Chicago, I got the Vikings. And there you go. I'll keep track of this. We'll go over this week to week as we move through the season. And there you have my week 1 picks on the Birds Blast. So, all right, folks, there we go. Thank you, Joe Hale. Eagles win 35-10, MVP Jalen Hurts. All right, Joe Hale's got his dog in the fight. He says 35-10. I think it's going to be more scoring on both sides. I think 28-21, 28-20 is a fair kind of gauge on where this game might be. I'm just not thinking the defense is going to be operating. Either defenses are going to be operating at their maximum output. And thank you very much. Make sure you're back later on tonight for the final word with Matty B at 10 o'clock. And I'll see you then. Thank Kyle Quinn. The Birds Blast is back. Football's back. And where does the time go, man? So until we talk on the Birds Blast next Thursday. So Thursdays at 7 is when the show is going to go. Make sure you're back here so we'll talk Eagles, Cowboys, and we'll look at Eagles, Chiefs for week 2. So until then, you guys take care.